and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to today's lesson on digestion in the small intestine. In our last lesson, we studied digestion in the stomach. We learned that the stomach chemically breaks down the food particles with digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid. The stomach also mechanically breaks down food by mixing and churning the food particles with the stomach contents. Today, we are going to describe the process of digestion in the small intestine. We will learn about the enzymes and liquids that work to further break down food molecules. Let us begin. When food is ready to enter the small intestine, it has gone through quite a journey in the body up until that point. The food that enters the small intestine is partially digested and in the form of a paste. Before the food enters the small intestine, it is digested in the stomach. Students, for our first activity, please choose a partner and discuss the digestion that occurs in the stomach. You may begin.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Hello again, students. I hope this activity was a good way to review. In the stomach, small food particles are broken down by protease enzymes. As well, the stomach muscles contract frequently to churn and mix the food with the gastric juices, breaking it up further. Once the food has formed a paste-like texture, it is squeezed out of the stomach through a sphincter into the first part of the small intestine called the duodenum. When the paste enters, it is mixed with bile and other enzymes that break down any remaining materials on a molecular level. Bile is an alkaline liquid that is greenish-yellow in color. It is produced in the liver and stored in the gallbladder until it is needed. As food enters the duodenum from the stomach, bile is sprayed on the incoming material. The bile does two important jobs in digestion. The first job is that it neutralizes the acid from the stomach and makes semi-digested food alkaline. Enzymes that work in the small intestine work most effectively in alkaline conditions. So this makes the small intestine an ideal environment. The second job is that it emulsifies the fat in foods. In other words, it breaks down larger fat molecules into smaller fat droplets. This provides a larger surface area for lipase enzymes to work on breaking down fats into fatty acids and glycerol. The other enzymes that are mixed with the food paste in the small intestine are supplied by the pancreas. The first part of the small intestine cannot make its own enzymes as food enters the small intestine from the stomach. The enzymes are released from the pancreas and mixed with the food by muscle contractions. The rest of the small intestine is a long, coiled tube that produces its own carbohydrates, protease, and lipase enzymes. The small intestine uses peristalsis, like in the esophagus, to push the mainly digested food through the rest of the intestine. This process can take up to 24 hours. Once only the simple food molecules remain, they are absorbed into the body. The molecules leave the small intestine by diffusion and enter into the blood supply, where they are carried around to different areas of the body. The lining of the small intestine is designed to allow for as much diffusion to take place as possible. Millions of tiny finger-like hairs, called villi, increase the surface area for diffusion. Each villus is covered by an even smaller finger-like hair called a microvillus to enhance the process even more. Villi have a rich blood supply that transports the digested food molecules and maintains diffusion. Once the food molecules have completed their journey through the small intestine, digestion is complete. The small intestine empties any remaining indigestible particles to the large intestine, where the waste from the small intestine is collected. The large intestine uses the same muscle contractions used by the small intestine and the esophagus to push waste material along, reclaiming any remaining water or moisture. The large intestine empties the waste into the bowel, where it can be discharged out of the body. You have just learned about the entire process of digestion. Great job, students. Let us do an activity to test what we have learned today. Please explain the role of the liver and the pancreas in the process of digestion.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, class. If you recall from our lesson, the liver produces bile, which is a very important fluid that is necessary for digestion. Bile neutralizes acids in the food, which stabilizes an alkaline environment, and it emulsifies the fat in foods. The pancreas produces necessary enzymes which are released into the first part of the small intestine, which mix and break down the food molecules even more. Did you answer correctly? If so, great work. This brings us to the end of our lesson. Today, we learned about the digestion in the small intestine. We studied the final stages of digestion as well. We learned how the broken down food molecules are spread throughout the rest of the body. Until next lesson, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.